Well, great day, everyone. We're down here at the farm out front here today and want to talk to you about repurposing, transitioning, and transforming. This old barn here has probably seen its better days, but if we're not careful, sometimes we'll just disregard and demolish something and waste a resource that can actually be transformed if we're willing to go through the transition and take the time to repurpose it, rethink it, and then redo it. This was old chicken barn and served its purpose for many, many years. When we got the place, we used it from everything from cow storage. We had sheep and hogs and dogs in here, and cattle use it as a run-in shed, shelter from storms. But we're purposed to redo this and to make it more useful for us into a machinery shed here in the future. So the first thing we kind of look for when you do something like this is it's salvageable. And I'll tell you, this thing's got old bones, but they can see new life. It's got good bones. You've heard that saying before. The Bible said in one place where there was a prophet looking at a situation, and it was a valley of dry bones or old bones, and the Lord asked him, he said, can these old bones live again? And the prophet gave a wise answer. He said, well, Lord. And so the Lord started to work, and you know how God does things. He speaks to things first. So he said, prophesy to it, speak new life into it. So that's what we're doing with this. We've got old bones, but there's great possibility. It's a good option for us to redo it after rethinking it, instead of just tearing them down as we thought about that. But why waste a resource with a little bit of work? We couldn't put a new one here, instead of redoing the old one. Just makes more sense. I don't know if you're like me, but there's sometimes when I think these old bones of this body and the 63 years that I've been here on the earth, and you spend your youth and you get so far, but there's a lot of things that you would still like to do, like to be, like to have. But God's a God of repurposing. That word again. God always has an again plan. Something new, even out of something old. And I came down here the other day and was thinking about what my next step was in line with everything that we have planned for the future. And it just made good sense to come down here and just start doing what needed to be done. And all of a sudden I saw it. I just saw how to do the repurposing and the redoing. You get a picture of it on the inside, and then you start working on the outside. Back to your life and my life, God has new plans. God really has a new frame and a new vision for the new version of you. Whatever state you find yourself in, whatever condition you may find yourself in, God can repurpose you. He can restore you, and He can restore the years even that have been devoured. So I want to pray for you today that God will give you new vision, new insight, new understanding of His plan. Not just knowing His plan, knowing that He's good, knowing that He wants to restore, but there would come an understanding of that plan, and that you would have eyes to see it as God gives you eyes to see it. A lot of times we don't see it till we start doing something. The landscape becomes clearer as we get nearer to it. We got to make some kind of moves, and that's where you see God move, is when you're willing to make a move. So Father, I pray today for every person out there that's listening today, that intersects this podcast, that intersects our time together, either now or in the future, that has been experiencing disappointment, perhaps disillusion, perhaps living in a state of being disheartened and grown weary in the well-doing, not being able to see in the hallway what they're coming into. Lord, I pray that you would begin to transition them, give them courage to take one more step each and every day, give them courage, Lord, to be able to start moving forward, that looking forward, it's all about what you have in the future, for all your plans are for a future, and they are to bring us to a good and an expected end. Open their eyes, the eyes of their understanding, to help them to understand your plan today, and one day at a time, and open up the future that you have for them. Give them some glimpses out of your glory, out of the goodness that you have planned for their life, that would encourage, that would embolden, that would empower them in Jesus' name. I just thank you for encouragement today, good courage, that they would find a strength in you to move forward in Jesus' name. Well, I thank you for taking time today here with us. Like I said, here's the question: can these old bones live? Well, if there's good bones there, of course they can, but God's going to speak to you. God's going to show you, because whenever he tells us something, he also shows us something as well. Thank you today, Lord, that this information turns to revelation that results in a transformation for all of our lives in Jesus' name. Until the next time, this is always our prayer, that you would have a heart that's at rest, and that you would understand how very blessed you are.